Okay, well, my name is Feli Bayona. I am a mom of two, a grandma of a feisty 5-year-old girl, and I have been on Relive for almost 10 years now. And before Relive, I was a chemist, and I loved what I did. But my health was going downhill. I had severe acid reflux, and I developed irritable bowel syndrome, the kind that goes with diarrhea. So every time I put something in my mouth, it would just go through me. After a while, um, I became depleted with nutrition, and I became frail and started to become brain foggy. And so it was at age 54 that decided to retire because I was just dragging myself almost all year long. Um, my immune system was also very low, and I would have bronchitis once or twice a year, sinus infection. It's almost clockwork every fall. When I caught a cold or the seasonal allergies which I used to have, I would not be able to shake that off. And so the secondary infection would set in, which was bronchitis and or sinus infection or both. And along with that, I suffered from chronic fatigue and chronic joint pains, especially with my lower back, my hip, my neck. I couldn't move my neck fully parallel, my face parallel my shoulders, and it just seemed like everything was achy. And uh, when I met a total stranger that introduced Relive to me, I was very desperate for something to help me. I was also almost turning yellow. That's how I saw myself, and so I was really scared. I was thinking my organ would crash on me. And when I saw Relive with my background, I knew that was what I was looking for. In the form that it was in, form of powder, and I could drink in a shake, I was excited. And I just started with a very basic two products. And the first thing that happened to me was good night's sleep. And before that, I barely was sleeping. I barely was eating. It got to the point that I couldn't eat fruits and vegetables. It would hurt me. I think they were too fibrous, and the sugar from the fruits would just cause more acid in my stomach, sourness in my stomach. And so, I felt pretty hopeless before Relive. So when I started on Relive, um, the first few shakes, I started sleeping better. And in the first, before the first 3 months, it has to be like 2 months and maybe a couple of weeks. I have been eating better, eating more. I've been sleeping better, and I had enough energy to start exercising. So that was very exciting for me. And so I started in October, I think 26th of 2005. By the end of that year, I was able to wean myself off the prescription medications I had, including hormone replacement therapy. I also started to be almost symptom free. My digestive issues, I would say about 90-95% symptom free, and it was at the level that I didn't need medication. I just had to be careful with what I eat. And since then, I have been medication free. I've been symptom free. And with the introduction of Lunrex X, we have been taking plenty of Lunrex X. And, I'm 65 years old. My husband is 70. But we started really walking seriously. Before the cold started, here in Chicago, we were able to walk like 4 miles a day. And I could never do that before. So, I mean, the energy is there and the stamina is there. And so we're very, very thankful for Relive. We will never stop taking it.
It's
And
wonderful.
yeah, and then because of that, Bill, we decided to be in the business. But I'm one of those slow starter, and the highest income we have is 1,700 a month, but I know that we can build that. With all the excitement going on right now, we can build that to the level that we could leave nice financial legacy for our granddaughter and maybe even help other kids in the Philippines. That's one of our biggest goals, to be able to help there. And yes, we're so thankful about the opportunity as well. So we'll
Absolutely.
never stop.
It's
Yeah.
a joy to help other people, to reach out
Mhm.
and make a difference in other people's lives,
Oh,
and you've been a
definitely.
part of that. You also had some results with some headaches, as I recall.
Oh, yes, because even migraines, it was not regular, but I think it was associated with my digestive issues. And uh, I would I I couldn't, when that hit, I have to be in a dark room, and uh, it's gross, but I had to let out whatever is in my stomach for me to get some relief.
Mm.
Yeah. So never happened anymore.
Wonderful.
And we don't have even Tylenol in the home. Just our relief products. And if something we feel something's coming down, we just take more shakes, or sometimes maybe even just energized water or the 24K.
Great. Bailey,
Yeah.
thank you. Appreciate you coming on and joining us tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, bye-bye.
Well, gosh, next we're going to be heading over to Michigan, and what a pleasure. I get to introduce you tonight to Mika Patch. And Mika, you certainly have had some wonderful results, as your family has, and we'd love you to come on and share.
Hi, Bill. Can you hear me?
I can now. Go right ahead.
Hey, thank you for inviting me. My name is Mika Patch. I live in Commerce Township, Michigan, and I'm a professional interpreter. My story began in 2006. I sustained work injury called acoustic shock injury. I had severe pain in my ears every day, and after a month, I ended up in the ER because I could not stand up, walk, or talk, and every sound gave me severe pain. The doctors diagnosed me with severe acoustic trauma, labyrinthitis, and vestibular neuritis. I had vertigo, nausea, severe ear pain, muscle spasms, and I lost 10 pounds in a week. I also had acoustic nerve hypersensitivity, painful tinnitus, cervical radiculopathy, and neuropathy. As a result of nerve damage, I had osteoarthritis with bone spurs in neck and bulging discs, and severe depression from chronic pain. From the medications, I had severe side effects, including restless leg syndrome, and I could not sleep at night. I was never able to go back to work full time after the injury because of the severe pain in my ears and neck. I lost a job in 2006 and applied for disability in 2012. My ears were so sensitive that I had to wear earplugs every day and night, and I had a lot of ear pain from the even the noise from air vents or light bulbs. For 6.5 years, I spent most of my days in bed with pain. My damaged ear nerve sends too many signals when I hear sound, and my neck muscles tighten and pinches my nerves, and my upper neck gets inflamed, and I eventually lose control of my body. And I have been to more than 30 doctors and tried many different medications, supplements, and treatment. My family prayed for me every day, but after 6.5 years of constant pain, I just started to lose hope. Relief found me in the fall of 2012. I got my life back in 3 months. I got off all my medications, and I had no more pain. Now I can go to a movie theater, I can travel long distance, and I can do anything I want. And I went to Utah from Michigan for the first time in 12 years. I finished college and attended graduation at BYU, and I was able to hold a part-time job for 1 year. I commuted to Detroit every day for almost 1 year, that which is like an hour drive, which I couldn't do before. My doctor even wrote a note for me stating that I needed relief for my condition. My whole family got great results with seasonal allergies, chronic knee pain, and acid reflux. My sister in Japan had wonderful twin pregnancies using Relief as prenatal. And the most amazing results I want to share is about my mother in Japan. She was dying from colon cancer. I packed 2 suitcases full of relief and flew to Japan in March. My mother is 76 and she has been totally disabled for 20 years from a stroke. The only thing she can move is probably a few fingers on the right side, and she can't move anything at all. When I arrived, she was having a very difficult time breathing because her left lung was completely filled with fluid. They drained it twice, but it fills back up again, so her doctor was not going to do it again. And no cancer treatments because my mom was disabled and too weak to go through any treatment. She was just left to die with no hope. In 2008, I saw my father die in front of me with cancer, the same situation with the fluid filling up the lungs. And about 4 years ago, my mother lost her speech and ability to swallow, so she had to go get a feeding tube put in. So when I started my mom on Relief, I put it through her feeding tube. It was about March 20th. And in April, her doctor came and it told us the fluid is starting to fill the other side of the lung, so she won't have much time to left, and then told us to be prepared. I kept on praying and I kept on putting Relief through her feeding tube every day. And to our surprise, her condition turned around and she continues to do better as of today. Her x-ray from July showed fluid draining and air going into her left lung. And her breathing is better. Her constipation is no longer an issue. She was taking medication for that for the last 20 years. And then with the colon cancer, it could be deadly. She was able to travel 20 hours one way in the car, and then she spoke few words. My sister-in-law told me, and then I just cried. She hasn't spoken for years. Relief is the only food she gets through her feeding tube. And last month, I left my job to do Relief full time, and then my dream is to bring Relief to Japan. So that's my story.
Wow, what a powerful one it is. I mean, we don't hear about the nerve damage with your ear very often. It's had to be a horrible experience that you went through, and I can just imagine the joy you have for being able to not deal with all that nerve damage and pain that you were dealing with. So powerful story. So many of your family have enjoyed the blessings of Relive. Mika, we appreciate you. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. We're so grateful, and thank you so much for inviting me. And I every day thank the person who shared with me.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Well, next we head over to Pennsylvania. It's my pleasure tonight to have Scott Weaver and his daughter Rhoda with us. Got to talk with them at conference this year, and wow, just so enjoyed hearing Rhoda share her story for the first time. And guys, we would just love you to come on and share a little bit of what's happened for your family.
Hello, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yes, Rhoda, go right ahead.
Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Rhoda Weaver. I'm 18 years old and live in Pennsylvania. My family and I started Relive a little over 2 years ago, about 2.5 years. And when we started, I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. I had a lot of physical issues, but it was just part of life. I'd learned to live with them. I was dealing with anxiety and panic attacks because I was in a car accident with my grandpa and 2 of my cousins. I woke up from inside the vehicle and watched the entire car accident happen, so I was traumatized to ride with anyone in the vehicle. Driving under trees or just being in the vehicle, I wanted to run, I wanted to scream, and I couldn't do either. I was also dealing with acid reflux to the point I would be doubled over in a fetal position, unable to move until it passed or subsided. I couldn't eat salsa or drink pop or eat hot wings without knowing I would be in severe pain for a very long time. I was also dealing with back pain since 2007 when I slid down a walk plank on a piece of vinyl siding, using it as a sliding board. I jammed my tailbone, messing up my entire back. I remember carrying a pillow into church or in the vehicle. If we would be riding for more than an hour, I had to have a pillow to sit on. I was also dealing with low blood sugar as a precursor to diabetes. Diabetes was passed down to me through my genes and was headed straight for me. I was also dealing with severe menstrual cramps, but since being on Relive, my anxiety and panic attacks are gone. I can ride with anyone in the vehicle anywhere, and it doesn't bother me. My acid reflux is gone. I can eat anything I want. My back pain is gone. I no longer have to carry a pillow. My low blood sugar is gone, and I have prevented diabetes, which is awesome. My menstrual cramps are 90% better and getting better daily, and I absolutely love these products. But after I was on these products for about a year, I got chicken pox for the second time in my life. I was covered from head to toe with spots and itching like crazy. I tripled my Relive intake, was gulping the 24K and taking as many capsules as I could get in me. And within 4 days, all of my spots were gone, and I have no scars from my chicken pox. Absolutely love these products. I love the hope that we get to give others, and that is my story.
That's wonderful, Rhoda. Thank you so much. It's a powerful story from someone of 18 years of age. You don't expect to hear all those things, and you just shared your story beautifully. Thank you so much for being on the call.
Absolutely.
And your dad, Scott, he's there?
Bill, good evening. How are you?
Yes, sir. Great, Scott. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Bill, for allowing us to share. Like Rhoda said, we did start on the products. It was 2.5 years ago, and I would have told you up front that I was healthy. 39 years old. I own my own logging business, log home refinishing business, and climb ladders 20, 30 feet up on scaffolding. And we as a family just did not go to the doctor, and yet I would have said we were healthy. And yet you heard Rhoda's list of issues that she had, and I was dealing with other issues. I had dealt with low blood sugar from the time I was 12 years old. I fought with headaches from the time I was 17 years old. And it was back about 12 years ago that my wife found that I was gluten intolerant. And if I eat pizza, pasta, pancakes, or waffles, within 10 minutes I'd have an irregular bowel movement. And that's how it would affect me, the gluten, and it would just trigger that allergy. And then within a very short time, my sugar would be spiked up. And shortly after that, it would just drop me in the basement. I'd feel all shaky, sweaty, weak. And then I'd have a crashing headache. And I dealt with this day after day. And again, I would have said I was a healthy person. And these were some of the issues that we were dealing with. And so when I heard about Relive, I was actually at a log home, giving a gentleman an estimate to refinish his log home. And he took a phone call. And when he took that phone call, he walked away from me and he mentioned the word feet. And to be honest with you, my ears went straight up, Bill, because 1 year prior to that, my father had lost his big toe to diabetes. And so we started, after my appointment with Terry, I put my books in the truck and I walked back to him and I said, Terry, I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but you mentioned the word feet. I want to know what's going on. And of course, he told me his diabetic story. And well, I got really excited. And that was how we were introduced to Relive. And I can tell you, Bill, as we started taking the products and seeing incredible results, I started sharing this with my father, and he too got incredible results. My father had been taking 5 shots of insulin, and in 20 months we had reduced him down to only 2 shots of insulin, and there were some months where he was taking no insulin of any kind a day, and that was incredible for me. But again, for me, in the fact that I didn't have to deal with these issues that I was dealing with either. And so it's now been 2 years that I have had no medication in my body. And I used to take headache medication 3 and 4 times a week. My low blood sugar is gone. I don't have to deal with that. And doing my kind of work, being up on a ladder 20, 30 feet high, is not the place to deal with a low blood sugar attack. I can eat whatever I want to eat, and that's been exciting to me. But what's been exciting also is sharing the hope that we have. And because I know that we have something that is dependable. You know, when I looked at Relive, there was 3 things that got my attention. Number one, it was the fact that Relive at that time was 25 years old. The second thing that got my attention was Lunason. And the third thing that got my attention was the Calogris Foundation. And see, the reason why the Calogris Foundation was so important to my wife and I, it was because the Cloggers feeds over 42,000 children daily. And that meant a big deal to Dawn and I because both Dawn and I were raised at an orphanage in Mexico. Her parents and my parents were missionaries at an orphanage. So I know what it means to stand in line with all my adopted brothers and sisters and waiting for another plate of food. And so it was exciting to me to find a company that had a heart to help people. And so whenever we looked at this company and saw the age of the company, we saw stability. We understood lunacy and the importance of that. We just wrapped our hearts around this company. We started sharing, and it started slow, and yet we started in April of 2013, and by October of 2013 we were in the top 10 in the nation. We were 8th place in the nation, and that was exciting to get a bonus check of $1,500. And 1 year later, Dawn and I we worked hard, helped a lot of people, and that 1 year after starting, we were first in the nation. And that month, we brought home almost $5,000. And Bill, it's just the fact of sharing and helping people. My wife and I, we've been able to go to Canada, to Quebec City. We had a great trip when we went to Canada. And then in November and December, they had put out another trip and that you could earn, and that was to Cancun. And we as a family, we worked towards that, and we were able to earn that. We were 17 in the nation and got to earn a trip to Cancun, which for my wife and I was super exciting because that was where her grandparents in that area used to work as missionaries. And I lived in Belize, which is only 6 hours away. So I was able to take my family to Cancun and get to spend some time there in that area, but also got to take them back to Belize, Central America. So for us, it's just been extremely exciting. And we average anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a month as a side business. And again, this is just on the side around my very busy log home refinishing company and my wife homeschooling. And so, to me, it's been a real blessing that we can provide hope to people that are hurting maybe financially or maybe physically. And so it's been exciting for us to be able to provide hope, and I just love Relive, and I can't think of a day not taking these products.
There you go. Well, Scott, I so appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your testimony. It's been quite a journey for you, from an orphanage to your own business to reaching out and helping other people all across the country here with Relive. Relive is certainly a win-win. As we help people, we get blessed in return. So Scott and Rhoda, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you and look forward to getting together with you in the near future sometime. So God bless y'all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I have one more guest for you tonight, and it's certainly a pleasure for me to get to introduce you to Jennifer Weaver. Jennifer is a bronze ambassador with Relive. She's had some good results with Relive, but what you're going to also find is that she's made a business of reaching out and helping people all over the country, and it's traveled across the waters, and she has a thriving business over in France as well. And Jennifer, it's our pleasure. We would love you to come on and share a little bit of what's happened for you. And if you hit star 6 earlier, you would need to do that again.
Well, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be with you. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Go right ahead.
I was introduced to Relive. My name is Jennifer Weaver, and I live in Bloomfield Township in Michigan. And I was introduced to Relive. It's been 11 years now. And I was actively looking for something for my son. He had a lot of upper respiratory issues, and I relate so much with the first caller that you had tonight, because that's exactly what we were dealing with. A lot of colds that turned into these secondary infections with sinus and ear infections, and a lot of bronchitis that would last weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks for my son. And So my mom, that's a nurse, suggested that I do something, try and find something that could help boost his immune system. So that's what I did, and I was introduced to Relive, and I was really intrigued by the fact that there were no warning labels, the fact that it was this complete and total nutrition, that it was plant-based. There were so many things that I thought were so interesting about it, and I had never seen another product like it. And so my son at the time was 6.5. My daughter wasn't even 2 years old, and I started taking it too because I really wanted to be a good example for my kids. And it was so much easier than the handful of supplements that I was taking. And and I really considered myself to be healthy. So I was really surprised to see my energy increase and digestive issues that I had. It was nothing chronic, but it sure did make life a whole lot easier. My son today is going to be soon 18. My daughter's soon 13, next week as a matter of fact. And they are incredibly healthy kids. My son wrestles and runs for his high school team. He also was first chair in tuba. All these things that I never would have imagined him doing when he was much younger. My daughter that's 13 has not had to deal with a lot of those childhood ailments. And for me too, it's just been continually feeling better and better. I'm very active. I'm a runner. I do a lot of yoga, and it just really gave me so much energy. I probably got 2 hours to my day just because I was kind of walking around in a fog all the time. And when the Lunison capsules came out too, I added them to my routine, and really and truly, just when I thought I couldn't feel any better, I found I was getting through my workouts even easier, was recovering more quickly, and I could even add in more workouts. So, the results that I was getting and the results that my family had, friends that were close to me, it was really hard to not share. And my background is actually in marketing and finance, and when I was introduced to Relive, I owned an aerobic studio. And interestingly, I started to earn more with Relive than I did my studio. So I made the decision several years ago to sell the studio. And the month that I did, I earned almost $8,000 with Relive, and that was incredible to me because I really still at this point was not looking at Relive from a business perspective, and I was looking for time freedom and the flexibility to manage my day and my agenda and my calendar the way that I needed to around my family. And so that was amazing to me. So I was a little slow on the business side. It took me a little while, but then I got it. But then I understood. So it's been an incredible journey. I've been able to travel. I've made friends all around the globe, like you were saying. I've been able to travel to France. I'm leaving in a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact, to attend the European conference there with a lot of my group that will be attending from all over the place, all over Europe, people from the Philippines, people from, Indonesia and Malaysia. And so my check today comes out of about 10 different countries. I continue to do this on a part-time basis, but with a really, really full-time attitude around my kids or with my kids or, and all their activities. And, it's just allowed me to really to grow personally too. Our kids have been educated differently. I haven't had to miss a lot of those meets and cross country track meets too. That I really, that's the reason I really want to spend the time with the kids and be able to be there for those victories. And the most amazing thing for me is that Relive has given me 11 years that I never would have had with my kids. And I am forever grateful to Relive.
Absolutely. Quality of life, and you've had an opportunity to improve your family life. Time freedom is incredibly wonderful. You get to with Relive, we get to live our life full time and do the business around our life, where most people have to do their job and work their life around their job. That freedom is precious, and I can hear that in the story that you've shared. But your business had launched out into France. Tell us a little bit about that. What happened with your French connection?
Well, I actually had a neighbor that really had a lot of health concerns, and she started using Relive, and the products and really had tremendous results. But more than that, she was very, very entrepreneurial. And it was really the thing that jump-started my business, in that I had to learn everything so that I could help her, because that was her need. Her need was a financial one, and it was a dream of hers, really, on the entrepreneurial side. She really had let go of several businesses, and so I really had to be able to help her. So I was determined to learn everything that I could so that I could help her, and we really worked as a team. And she was an expat. She was living in the United States, but was a French national, and ended up moving back to France. And we knew that that was going to happen, so we were very diligent and dedicated and motivated to work as hard as we could and get her up to speed before she went back to France. And when she did, she took the products with her and shared, just like here, just one person at a time, to the point where today, the company opened Relive France 2 years ago, and today there are thousands and thousands of distributors, and it's really just because one person cared about another person enough to share the Relive opportunity with them, and it was just one person at a time. And now she actually lives in the UK and is doing the same thing there, and we're just building in Spain and Italy and all over the world. And it's just incredible. I never would have imagined that this would have been such an adventure for me and turned into something that's taken me all across the world and given me those friends everywhere. And they're so dear to my heart, and I can't imagine never having met them. So, I've heard people say you can just put a leash around Relive and see where it leads you. And it really is amazing, the opportunities and that are out there if you just open yourself to them and really understand that it is absolutely just sharing, one person at a time.
So, I love the fact that the Relive business is what's called seamless, so that we can freely flow with the business. We can share with people anywhere that Relive is open around the world, and so they have access to the same products and the same type of marketing system. Everything flows from country to country, and you've done that beautifully. You mentioned your check now comes out of 10 countries. That's interesting and exciting at the same time.
Yeah, it's just been amazing, and I can't, first of all, believe it's been 11 years, because every day I get up, I'm excited about who I get to talk to next, and when I lay my head down on my pillow at night, I'm so filled with gratitude, because I am proud of the work that I do. And someone earlier mentioned the Clovis Foundation, and knowing that I can be a part of that and then contributing to that, it's just a very rewarding feeling. And I don't know if there are many opportunities out there where you can feel so good about what you're doing and helping people, and on so many different levels.
Right.
Whatever their need might be, Relive has an answer.
Relive does have an answer. There's a lot of people hurting with their health. There's a lot of people hurting with their finances. There's a lot of people who have accepted a lot of things that they're dealing with that they don't have to. And what a pleasure to be a part of being a difference maker and bringing something to people that's wholesome, that has high integrity, that we can feel really good about and make a difference in people's lives. And of course, the friendships that you've built. You've built now some incredibly close friendships through Relive.
Absolutely. I'm so excited in a couple of weeks to be going to the international conference. It's being held in Paris this year. Somebody's got to do it, I tell you. But
that's interesting. It's going to be held in Paris.
It'll be held in Paris this year.
When's it being held?
It's the weekend of the 23rd of October.
Okay.
So I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to it. It's like getting together with family. And a lot of times this is the only occasion I get to see a lot of people that travel to the European International Conference, and it's just tremendous. And I and it really is. It's like a great big family reunion. The weekend it just goes way, way, way too fast. And I think every single year I leave wishing I had more time to really connect even with more people, because it's just gotten to be so big and so exciting and so much fun. But it's just such an amazing experience, and I just absolutely loved having the opportunity to get back every year and seeing everyone and enjoying everybody's company and friendship.
That's right. Well, before we let you go, so how did you build your business? What does building a Relive business consist of for the people who are looking at this and say, well, how could I do that?
And, I think it's just the same thing I was emphasizing before. It's one person at a time. And I think it takes courage. I think it takes courage all the time to open your mouth and share what you have found with Relive. And I really feel like my job, if you want, is really just to share the information. Everyone, they're adults and they can decide for themselves what's the right thing for them. But really just sitting down and sharing the entire opportunity, the health, the business, the philanthropic side, and really just hearing where they're at and loving them where they're at, and being able to help them to grow and to move forward, whatever that might mean for them.
Right.
And building this business really is just that. It's not something that's really difficult. It's something that you repeat over and over and over again. Yeah. It's really just giving information and the whole story to each person, and so that they can really hear it and make a decision for themselves. And it's really all about building those relationships, and that really is the key. Listening and understanding and just helping those relationships, just nurturing those relationships so that they can grow.
Right. Relive is a nutritional food science company that's on the cutting edge of it, but really what we are is in the people business. There's a lot of people who've lost hope for their health, for their finances. They're looking for answers, and Relive is certainly a business of reaching out and finding out where people are hurting and showing them the possibilities with Relive. Relive certainly has answers for a lot of people with their health and with their finances, as well as a lot of other things. We built some incredible friendships in Relive. Lifelong friendships are developed through this business. And you've been a part of this whole process. And Jennifer, thank you. Appreciate you coming on and sharing for us tonight.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.